Have you ever wondered, what is it that I need to do to be able to build solid relationships, relationships where it's going to help me build my coaching business and to be a thriving part of the community? We're talking about that in this training. This is a part of a series called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Christian Business Coaches. Today, we're talking about habit number 3 is to inspire and to add value to everyone. Now, I want to just kind of share, just from a starting point, is that the key here, and the reason why in this habit the word everyone exists, because I often find, and I did this myself when I was younger, we have this desire that, in building our coaching business, we got to find clients, right? And so we begin to look at all of the different relationships, the people that we're communicating with, connecting with, as a potential client. The challenge with that is, number one, is that ends up being very self-serving. And number two, I'm telling you, you don't know who the next person you interact with that may never become a client, but could be connected to other people that you just need to know that's going to help you build your coaching business. So everyone that you interact with is not going to become a client. They don't need to be. You're going to need to have a solid network. And this is the reason why we want to inspire and to add value to everyone. From a biblical perspective, I'm going to read here Philippians 2, 3, and 4. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourself, not looking to your own interest, but to each of you, to the interest of others. So now we have this, biblical framework, this bedrock, this foundation, right, that says, look, we want to value others above ourselves. And no doubt that others can feel that. When you're building that relationship with them, when you're communicating with them, when you're connecting with them, people can tell if you're in it for yourself or for them. Most people are very aware of what we're all up to when it's all said and done. So here's 3 things I want you to consider. Ideas I'm going to give you, and then certainly application on how to carry this out and to truly inspire and add value. And the first starts with, and before I even get to the 3, let me say that inspiring and adding value, when we say everyone, again, we're going beyond the network that's just those that are going to be my network about building my coaching business. Every time you go to the grocery store, the gas station, you go out to eat, every single person you come in contact with, you need to build a muscle. I need to build a muscle of just inspiring and adding value to every single person you touch. Why? Because you're going to get so good at doing that. It's going to become so natural that in those relationships that you do have that are about building your coaching business, it's just going to become a natural reaction for you to do it. Why? Because it's becoming who you are. It's a part of your DNA. It's a part of that's why it's called a habit. It's a habit to do it to all, not just compartmentalize. We want to be this kind of person to everyone. So here's the first thing to think about. Number 1, to add value and to inspire well, you got to listen. And you have to listen well. You have to actively listen. What is the word active? Without the word active, we're just hearing. When we apply the word active, we are purposely and intentionally sitting down, having conversations with whatever it is in our network. And we're truly listening to what's going on in their world, right? Because when you begin to truly understand, and that's the key, when you understand where someone's at, why things are the way that they are, they often will dig a little deeper and dig a little deeper. Why is this important? Because it allows you some content and some context to understand why things are, especially if they own a business. Why it's set up the way it is and how it can be to be about, and all that. And that's going to help you on how you're going to be able to add value to them, regardless if they become a client or not. Perhaps it's somebody that ends up being a referral partner, right? Again, you're wanting to build that relationship, but it's got to start with actively listening at the end of the day. So where does this begin? As you begin the relationship in the very beginning, as you begin most conversations, a habit that you can build is, rather than, and there's going to be, there's time sensitive conversations, but in a lot of them, you really want to let that other individual talk first. All right. You want to hear what's going on in their world. Everything from just the simple to the complex. By simple, I mean, how's your day going? And let them talk. It's very normal for most people to start first. Well, you can't really listen actively when you're controlling the conversation by starting first and so on. That's a habit you can build that's going to help you to begin to learn somebody more and more and more. Second thing is that as you have multiple conversations with them, so you've listened actively and you've learned something. It could be about the business. It could be about their family. It could be about just any small thing. The next conversation that you have with them, you bring that back up because, again, if you are serious and you're true and you're legitimate and you're integrous about your intentions, you are really genuinely curious. So, hey, tell me, BJ, how did that go last week when you did X, Y, Z? And that's because they told you that. That is connecting back to that active listening, and they're sensing, okay, this person is interested in my life. That's how you're able to truly add value, right? When it comes to business, when it comes to beginning to for them, and now I'm referring to both we'll call it as someone who could be a connector of referrals to you, and certainly someone who ends up being a client. They need to begin to see you as a guide. They need to begin to see you as a strategist. How do you do that? This is where the inspiration comes from. So once we're developing reciprocity, we're developing relationship, we're actively listening to what's going on. We understand that we're doing this because we care about them. Then we begin to inspire them by taking them to what I call the aha zone. Meaning, when you get an individual to be able to open up and they can look at you and they hear something that you're saying and they look at you and they recognize, wait a minute, I've not heard this before. Or wait a minute, this person's teaching me something. Or wait a minute, this person may have an answer to a problem I have. Or wait a minute, this is interesting to me because I'm intrigued here. Like any of those kinds of things, guess what happens? This is all psychological. God created you and me. He created how we are wired. And what happens when someone feels good about you and what you're saying, chemicals get released into the bloodstreams. One of them is called oxytocin, and it's kind of a feel-good hormone. And they call it a social bonding hormone. You can't prevent it. It's going to happen, period. And this is what just closes the gap and brings them closer to you in terms of the relationship. So how do you get to them in the aha zone? So you've listened to them, you hear what's going on, some of the challenges in their business, whatever. And see, too many people want to just run towards, let me tell you what you could do. You should do this, you should do this, you do this. And I used to do that all the time. Before we do that, though, we want to be very strategic in what we're going to offer them. How do we do that? I've written a couple of things down here. And there's some questions like this you want to begin to kind of put into your holsters, put into your tool bag. Questions like this. Well, listen, have you ever thought about this? And whatever the conversation and the complex problem or idea that you have you ever thought about this? Rather than saying, here's what you should do. Why? Because you're going to give them a moment to think. And remember, you already know what you're going to say. They don't know what you're going to say. And so to bring value, to truly inspire them, you want to create some space for them to have some thought. Have you ever thought about this? Or imagine this, like paint a canvas. Like get them to stare off into the space a moment and listen to what you're saying so they can truly see the idea and the picture of how you're going to add value and inspire them. Or perhaps, it's questions like, what would it be like if? Like think about that. So based upon the issue that you're going through, what would it be like if? You see how that works? So by asking these kinds of questions, you're opening up their mindset. You're opening up their the word opportunity in their world. You're opening up this path to go, I've never seen that before. I just recently had an opportunity to have lunch with my pastor. We were talking about some strategies and different things. And we got to talking about some strategic things about faith, about the church, about giving, and so on. And I began to have some questions just like this. And the words that came out of his mouth are the words that when you know that you're inspiring someone, he goes, I've never had someone to say it like that before. That's what adding value and inspiring others really, really does. The last thing, third thing, consistent positivity in building your relationships. Look, there's enough negativity in the world. Don't be a part of it, all right? Don't get into the drama. Don't get into the gossip. here's a beautiful thing that they can view out of you. If all they sense, and I'm not suggesting to be manipulative, what I'm suggesting is to just stay away from negativity. Even if the individual that you're building a relationship with tends to be a little bit negative, encourage them. Don't just get wrapped up in all of the trauma and the drama that goes on in life, because you don't want to act arrogant, and you certainly don't want to act like you're better than anybody. That's not the point. The point is to encourage them. Man, that stinks. I'm going to be praying for you. And I hope that issue turns around. I'm so sorry that happened to you. Like, those kinds of things, just don't get drug into, because again, you want to encourage them and be the light, right? You want to encourage them and bring hope. You want to encourage them and lift their spirits up. There's nothing better when they walk away with that conversation, from that conversation with you, and they may not even know how to put words in their mouth about what they feel. They just feel something different. It's good. It's positive. It's a their spirits have been lifted up. They want to go share to somebody else what they've heard, right? Because why? That's what inspiration does. This should be a lifelong habit to build. You're never really done. I don't care if it's the mailman. I don't care if it's the maintenance person. I don't care if it's the pest control. I don't care if it's the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. When you inspire and add value to everyone, I believe there's an opportunity to God to bless those conversations that you're having. And the byproduct of that is going to be clients out of that in numerous ways. All right. So perhaps this means something to you. If it does, tell others. Share this video with other people. Like, subscribe. It means the world to us and the community. Go out there, make things happen, pick up the phone, help somebody, and inspire them. Take care.